I have a lot of drawing tools, old ones, new ones, some cheap, others expensive. But over the years of collecting all this stuff, I find myself being drawn towards a few favorites. Sure, once in a while you're gonna listen to Great King Rat, but let's be honest, your go-to Queen song will always be Bohemian Rhapsody, your basic bitch. But basics are important. Everyone loves a good plain black tee. So let me introduce you to my essential tools for drawing. The first pick of the 2025 draft, the Chroma Moments Select hi-tec-c from Pilot. It's what the kids call golden with the sauce. The hi-tec-c will not fail you. It's the basic round brush of traditional media. It's white rice, still tap water, a 2003 Toyota Corolla. It gets the job done. Look, 90% of drawing is trying to convey an idea that's inside your head onto paper. And the hi-tec-c, or any gel pen for that matter, does it in the purest form. There are no happy accidents, no blending, no aim assist. You draw and a pure black line comes out. You are raw dogging art itself. What you see is what you get. It's an honest pen, and if you can make a good drawing with the hi-tec-c, you can make a good drawing with anything else. So the whole thing started out because I hated drawing digitally. I paid so much for an iPad and I didn't want to use it. For some reason, drawing digitally didn't feel the same as drawing with the hi-tec-c, and it made no sense. So I made a replica of the hi-tec-c in digital media because I loved drawing with it so much. That eventually led to me making the Essential Inks brush pack, an emulation of all my favorite drawing tools, which make for drawing digitally so much more satisfying. If you're interested in trying them out for free, there's a link to try them out on Procreate, Clip Studio Paint, and Photoshop in the description below. My Desert Island pen. If I had to pick just one thing to draw with for the rest of my life, it would be the Pilot hi-tec-c. Fortunately, I don't have to, so... The brush pen may be the most versatile tool of the lot. You can draw thin lines, you can draw thick lines, fill in large black spaces, shade with it, stick them in a stew. The one I use is the Pentel color brush. A lot of artists prefer the Pentel pocket brush, which I find to be a bit too soft for my liking. The color brush is stiff enough that I can be a little bit more careless with it and still be able to draw thin lines. It's also slightly cheaper, which is always nice. Your first, let's say 50 drawings with the brush pen are gonna look like you drew them with your non-dominant hand. The next 50 will look like you drew them with your dominant hand for the very first time in your life. So yeah, it takes practice. While there is a learning curve to drawing with the brush pen, I will say it is also surprisingly forgiving. There's an inherently human quality to the brush pen's line. It's just the right amount of imperfect which imbues it with a sense of kinetic energy. It's alive. There's nothing quite like a brush pen drawing. I'll be honest, the reason I first got into dip pens is because they felt like drawing digitally with the pen pressure turned on. It's weird, I know. There's a specific sensation of pushing down on my Wacom where the nib retracts slightly that makes me wonder if there was an analog. Well, there was. A dip pen is a platform. The beauty is in being able to swap out the nibs as needed. There's a nib out there for every kind of line quality, and my god, this is rabbit hole that you want to go down. Introducing the Browse Blue Pumpkin. Now, calling it an analog version of a digital brush would be reductive. After all, I mean, this did come first. Although now, I do have a digital version of the dip pen, which is an Escher-esque level of abstraction I dare not explore. The Blue Pumpkin is what I would consider an all-rounder nib. It's what you would use for 99% of all your drawings if you were to draw with a dip pen exclusively, and it's not too fine, which makes it more beginner friendly. And it's on the more flexible side, so you don't have to push down as hard to get line variation. I love the tactility of it. I love the way it feels. I love the sound it makes. I also do just love the way the lines look. There's a nostalgia to them. The kind of lines I grew up looking at reading manga drawn traditionally with the dip pen. And it's no wonder that artists to this day are so in love with the dip pen. The fountain pen is here because drawing with the hi-tec-c can get a bit boring, I must confess. Look, I'm not stuck on a desert island. I'm allowed to have both. It kind of fulfills the same function as the gel pen for me. The upside is the sheer amount of inks that I get to use. The shading and sheening and shimmering ink. I believe in 2025, you can get an ink in any color on the visible spectrum. Now, I get that the hi-tec-c comes in different colors too, but come on, it's not even close. There are lots of different kinds of fountain pens out there with lots of different nibs. I have a whole video on that if you're interested, but my go-to is the TWSBI Eco EF. I like that it's slightly thicker than the 0.4mm lines of the hi-tec-c, so so it is different to draw with. I also like the reliability of it. If there's one thing that drives me up the wall, it's a pen that skips. That and people talk at the theater. Last but not least, the good old ballpoint pen. This is where it all started. Doodles in the margins, 80 GSM scrap paper. Before all the fancy sketchbooks and gold nib fountain pens, this is where it all started. Without pretension, the way God intended. It needs no introduction. It's literally the best thing since sliced bread. It's the only pen in this list that you can vary the opacity of the ink based on how hard you press. The only one we can softly feather in the lines, giving you a level of control no other pen gives you, no matter how fancy or expensive. It's a great sketching pen, and that's probably why I don't have a pencil in this list. I don't draw with pencils, not usually. The ballpoint pen shades very similarly to a pencil, and the line width is approximately the same. For the sake of sketching, they perform very similar functions. Now, I would say that I have a favorite model of ballpoint pen, but to be honest, my favorite ballpoint pen is just the one that I happen to have. Sure, I could go out and buy a big crystal, but ballpoint pens have a magical way of infiltrating themselves into our lives. For the longest time, the one I used was a free pen from a hotel. The previous one I yoinked from the DMV. Who truly knows what the best ballpoint pen is? It's probably the big crystal. And there you have it, my essential tools. It's funny looking back on this list how little we truly need to make art. And while I do have a sizable collection of art tools, I find myself gravitating back towards the basics. Nothing flashy, nothing groundbreaking, but they show up, do the job, and somehow just make everything feel just right. It's the tools that feel like home that matter most. So I thought I would show you guys my setup on how I shoot these videos. This is the honorable mentions for the best art book of 2025. But inside here, there are like these posters and additional material that it just comes included in the book.